into the grade. It has to be okay because she wants to make sure that she wants that the grade is covered. Yes. Okay. So it's recording.
Recording? Okay, we're going to start. Okay.
You can turn it up a bit more. It's gonna go far.
Good afternoon, school board, Dr. Hernandez and district staff. The time is now 5:05 p.m. on March 4th, 2025, and I call this board workshop meeting of the Edmond and School District School Board to order. Roll call, Ms. Martha Castilla is on the way. Mr. Frank Espinosa is on the way. Mr. Luis Gomez. Here. Mr. Rudy Lopez.
Here.
Mr. Michael Valdez. Sergio Delgado is on his way. And I, Dr. James Hernandez, is present. Let the record show that a quorum of the Edgewood Independent School District is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. And now for the pledge to the U.S. and Texas flags.
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the
flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. All right. Superintendent Dr. Hernandez, are there any public comments?
No, sir, we don't have any public comment.
Yes, we do. Let me double check.
Before we call this into speakers, there are some procedural items to be announced. Board policy PED local limits public comments to specific agenda items. Any speaker that deviates from speaking on agenda items will be ruled out of order, and they will forfeit the rest of their time. The speaker will be informed when he or she has 1 minute remaining. Speakers who engage in personal attacks or use insulting, profane, threatening, or abusive language during any board meeting shall be ruled out of order by the presiding officer and be escorted to the board meeting room by a district police officer. Any concerns or complaints regarding employees, public officials, students, or parents should be resolved via the appropriate complaint process as stated in DEB local. Pursuant to 551.042 of the Texas Government Code, no board member or administrator may respond to a member of the public unless such response is a recitation of district policy or a statement of specific factual information. Please be advised that citizens and especially board members shall refrain from speaking over one another during a meeting out of respect for the speaker that has the floor.
We do. We have two.
Okay.
I can't.
You know what, let me go ahead and present, and I'll go ahead and that way it gives you a minute to go ahead and get ready.
Thank
Okay?
you.
Okay, so let me present, we'll come right back to you.
Okay, so superintendent's report?
Yes. All right, well, we're getting those, I think she may need to print them.
I have no access to printing.
No?
No,
Okay.
but I can verbalize them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so do you have a quick? So good evening, everybody. So first and foremost, I want to thank everybody for making a quick adjustment to come over here. I'm not going to go through the entire presentation that I've created today just because of expediency and time. I really wanted to first start out by again saying thank you to all the trustees, everybody that's sitting in this room, central office staff, just for making the quick adjustment to come and move over today. To the community, I know you guys have seen today, I know we're all walking around, these wind gusts have really affected our school district today. We've had a lot of power outages throughout the city in general, a few throughout the district, and then obviously, because you're now living through one, we had one over at DCC. And so know that today has been quite a day, but again, with our workshops, just for our public that's here, the workshop is the first of many meetings that a board member will go through on a monthly basis to establish their understanding of the items that are coming up each month at the regular board meeting. We're in the month of March, so I can tell you that our regular board meeting is March 25th. That is approximately 3 weeks from now because of the break. But this begins the monthly cadence for the board. They will have a workshop. They have opportunities for a one-to-one meeting. They will participate in a board performance planning meeting that is going to be on close to the end of March. And then, of course, our regular board meeting that I just mentioned. Board members will also have access to board updates. There will be a board update this Friday on the 7th. There will not be one next week because obviously we're on break. And then there will be one on the 21st. The board meeting is the 25th, and there will not be one the Friday afterwards. That's our regular cadence. There's not a board update. These are all opportunities for the board to become further informed on the items that we are asking them to, that we're sending to proposal for vote. This is just to inform our general community. As I mentioned, there are the board dates there. So that brings us to today. I'm going to make a shameless plug. I hope you got an opportunity to visit our recent production of Chicago. If you didn't, please keep an eye out. There are a lot of quality productions in our school district at the Fine Arts Theater. And so as always, you know I love to use the pictures of the kids wherever I can. As always, the work that we do as a board and as a team is to promote our #1 outcome, which is to graduate students college and career ready. And so as always, we want to thank the board for working with us on making sure that the district strategic plan is not just a document on paper, but that it's actually a document that we work off. So that brings us to a few things that the board has actually been doing. This has been a really busy month for the board. Last Thursday night, February 27th, the board participated in board team of 8 training. The state requires the board to do 3 hours of training. Of course, this board goes way above and beyond what the state requires. But we did participate in board training, and I want to bring to you just a quick highlight of the work that the board is engaging in this month, but also for the remainder of the year. So a lot of you may recognize this pipeline. We took it from the Holsworth Center work that we're doing. But the work we're engaging with the board centers around 4 quadrants. We started with leading self. That's the first thing, is understanding what it means to lead yourself as an individual and as a board member. How do we move into leading our community as board members and superintendent? How do we go in terms of leading leaders? That's other trustees on the board. And then, of course, making sure that as a board working alongside the superintendent, we are doing the 3 things that the board is responsible for, which is the budget, policy, and setting the tax rate. Those are the only responsibilities that the board has. Other than that, they work with the superintendent, who is their one employee in the district. So you'll see this come up a lot because this is going to guide our work for the calendar 2025 school year. As always, this is part of our professional core values, always making sure that we work towards making sure that our schools are safe, that we connect with our community, that we have a mindset that is continually growing, and that, of course, we continue to earn trust and respect in our community. So as part of that community of our learning definition, you're going to start seeing this logo a lot too. So right now we're focusing on 3 categories that the board is working with and that all leaders in the district are working with. People matter, growth matters, and our goals matter. I won't go into who these actual individuals are because I've done it in prior meetings, but this is the pipeline of leadership development in Edgewood. This was developed by not just the 30-member committee that included parents and different individuals, but also our students in the district. And so this is really important. I'm happy to report that actually, it was yesterday, right? Yes, yesterday. Yes, sir. Yesterday, and thank you to the board members that traveled with us, we were able to award our teacher incentive allotment teachers. These are our TIA teachers. We've now awarded close to $1 million and doubled the number of teachers that are now considered recognized by the state of Texas. So this is a pretty big deal for us. And so I did want to share this with you. And in fact, here's the pictures. That's the picture of the new class. So this is the new class, 24-25. Among these folks are folks that have actually moved up from one category to the next. And then this is your last year's class. So you may see some folks that were here last year now are in the new one, but that's because they moved up. So I'll talk more about this at the regular board meeting. And then I also want to highlight our students, and specifically these 2 young ladies down here. So these are our 2 national qualifiers from Business Professionals of America. They were in Dallas last weekend at state competitions. They have now qualified for the national level. So we're really proud of them. We're going to bring them to the regular board meeting in a few weeks, but I wanted to highlight that. And then, of course, as superintendent, I'm going to continue meeting with our kids, starting with elementary now. Just finished all the secondary, our lunch dates. And these are the topics that we're talking to kids about. You probably heard me say this in other meetings, but you can't say this kind of things enough, right? And so that brings it to a close for me. I've added other information that's important for you guys, graduation announcements, of course, my contact information. That is our board workshop. And a new section I'm adding that I won't go over at these meetings is resources for you to view. The first thing I want to highlight and thank is academics, because on February 26th, they did offer parents an opportunity to come in and give feedback on the math instructional materials that are going to be recommended to the board. And then the rest you can see there. This is from our community meeting. The link is there if you're interested in seeing that presentation. That's there for the community to see. Our legislative priorities, because I have been asked for new members of the community about those. And then don't forget, this is Texas Public School Week, so I wanted to bring that to your attention. And then this is also National School Breakfast Week this week. So with that, I will close, and I think does he have?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll move back to our communication from the community.
Yes, okay, so we'll come back to communication from citizens. And Ms. Jessica Rodriguez. You wanted to just stand over?
Yeah, I think so, at this point, yes.
Okay. Is someone keeping time?
Yes.
Okay. And 5C, policy update 124. 5C update 124.
Okay.
I'm sorry, one second. This is the first time I've ever been here. Or two, board meetings. I'm not really sure how to. Okay, so it is a board policy, but, okay. Good evening, board members and everyone in attendance. I'll be speaking on FFG, student welfare, child abuse and neglect. So I'm sure we've all heard the fable of the boy who cried wolf. Sadly, the lesson in that is that the village lost its herd. In the recent 2 weeks, there have been 2 school shooting threats made at West Garcia Middle School, or at least 2 that I was made aware of. In fact, one was as recent as of today. In both cases, my children reported the information to me along with the students' names. Absolutely 100% yes, I reported it both times. I made it reports to the anonymous link that the ISD has so conveniently made available for situations like these. I have 2 problems with that reporting. First, after having been reported, absolutely no communication was made between the school or the district to parents or to the public. Threat dissolved or not, no email, phone call, text, not even a letter was issued, nothing. I entrust my children's safety and their actual life to the school, staff, coaches, bus drivers, police, etc. when I drop them off in the morning. In contrast to the fable, we absolutely need to know each of these reports when they're made, no matter the level of violence, no matter how it's determined, whether it's dissolved or neutralized, we all need to know. Secondly, something has to be done, not to, but for the students making these empty threats. And I don't mean just in the way of criminal charges or expulsion. I mean more needs to be done to educate the students, all students, that these types of threats are not a joke. It's not funny, it's serious. From an early age, kids are taught to trust their teachers and educators, to confide in them if they ever need help in any situation. If children, especially preteen and teenagers, are not being heard at home, or maybe even being abused or neglected at home, the next in line for them to go to are these educated and professional mentors that they see every day. Our children should be able to trust these adults, that they'll step up to protect them, advocate for them, and be their voices. So I'm here so you can hear my children's voices. My son Nicholas and my daughter Natalia are scared and have told me there is no one to listen to them, and no one believes them when they do cry. Whether these reports turn out to be pranks or not, no matter the severity, why isn't more being done to get to the root of the problem? Why do they keep happening? And I'm talking about before the threats are made. Why isn't anyone paying attention to these babies that think it's okay to violate the entire student body of a middle school? Why? Maybe it's because the school district doesn't publicly address them. Or maybe it's because the kids don't trust their teachers. I'll never send Nicholas or Natalia to school on days where I know there to be a physical threat to their well-being, their health, or their actual life. Hopes or not, because it only takes one time, when it's not a joke, for something terrible to happen, and time after time, like we all know after a shooting, find out that no one believed that the boy who cried wolf could or would have ever done something like that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Next, Ms. Aggie Jaramillo, speaking on number 3, the superintendent report.
Okay, so, at the superintendent's report at the Chima Bay, I know I attended and it was a very good presentation, but one of the things that they did mention was communication. How important it was that we keep the communication going and how there should be communication among the boards and among the community. Well, we see an example right now, and I had already mentioned this at the meeting about the severity of the lack of communication. I know that we have to be careful to not just panic in all the community, but the attendance is going to be affected. Parents are being affected. The students are going to school. And somebody needs to be monitoring the social media on these kids, and somebody also needs to be educating at the campus level. We need to stress the fact that we need to go into the campus and we need to mandate that we educate the community, the parents and the kids, and tell them the seriousness of it. Yes, it might be a prank, but we still have to seriously, we have to be serious. So, I mean, I don't know what it's gonna take, because I do feel that this is gonna continue. This is gonna continue until we do something big, something that's really gonna make these parents open their eyes and these kids. So maybe we have to set an example, and like she said, and maybe I hate to say this, but maybe kids need to go to jail, I don't know. But something needs to be done, and the community needs to be alerted. I mean, out of respect, just let them know, yes, there was a hoax, but we're working on it, at least. Send something out, because these parents are really, really upset. And the other thing is, I did want to say that at the Chima Bay meeting, they talked about criticism, that all the board members have to accept criticism, and I commend Dr. Hernandez, because I tend to put some harsh words sometimes in social media, my opinions, my thoughts, my concerns, but he always shakes my hand, hello, to everybody, even though I can be a little mean sometimes. But some of the board members here, I mean, they've really kind of lost my respect for them, because they don't even acknowledge that I exist. So, and is that really a team? If you cannot be a team, if you cannot say hello to me and look me in the eye, then what is that saying? How can that really be a team? So are you really working as a team? I think that we need to work on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
So now, studies. Okay, now go to study session.
Okay, guys, thank you to our speakers this evening. I'm gonna go ahead and move us along. So, for our first presentation this afternoon for the group, so we're gonna start this evening with the presentations from our deputy superintendent. We're gonna start with our principal first, so we'll turn it over at this point to Dr. Benjamin. We do have principals presenting, and guys, I know we're really cozy, so just kind of sneak in where you can.
Good evening, Board President Dr. Hernandez, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Hernandez, and distinguished guests. Tonight we are here with the honor of presenting about our performance and progress and future of our K-5 campuses in Edgewood ISD. Tonight we will highlight our district's innovative approach to elementary education, examine student outcomes, and discuss strategies for continued success in order for us to meet our #1 outcome, which is to graduate all scholars, college, career, military ready per their expected date of graduation. Edgewood ISD is committed to student success through their clear priorities. This presentation will focus on third grade outcomes that are aligned with our board superintendent goals, which would be goals 1 and 2, goal 1 and goal 2, which focuses on reading and math in third grade. The data for 4th and 5th grade is available in your folder for further review. Our North Star goal is to increase our A and B campuses from 4 to 14 by 2028, ensuring more students have high-quality education. Our board operates with professionalism, accountability, and communication at the core, working together to put students first. And at Edgewood, just like Dr. Hernandez stated a few minutes ago with our leadership definition, people matter, growth matters, goals matter, and driving everything we do for our students and our community. Before we begin, I'd like to establish our Q&A process. To ensure we cover all content effectively, we ask that you hold your questions until the end of the presentation. We encourage you to jot down any thoughts or wonderings on the handouts provided, and we have dedicated a discussion period at the end of the presentation. At Edgewood ISD, we are a proud district of choice, committed to ensuring that every family has access to high-quality educational opportunities. That's why our Why Choose Edgewood ISD campaign, we showcase the unique pathways available to our students within our 5 innovation zones. These zones provide specialized learning experiences that meet the diverse academic interests and career goals, reinforcing our mission of equity and excellence. So tonight, we'll focus on 4 innovative schools, each designed to increase student choice and ensure equitable access to specialized programs. These schools represent our district's unwavering commitment to expanding opportunities for all students. With this foundation, our presentation will focus on 4 outcomes to highlight student opportunities that drive engagement and success, recognize challenges and identify areas of growth. We'll share targeted improvement efforts that support all learners and track progress through measurable indicators of success. As we move forward, you'll see these strategic efforts are transforming students across EISD. So I'm honored to have 4 outstanding principals here to share their story. We have the principal from Roy Cisneros Leadership School for Boys, Dr. Duran, who'll be speaking in a few minutes. Martha Esquivel, she is the principal of Roosevelt Dual Language Academy. We have Dr. Monica Munoz, who is the principal or head of schools, for Las Palmas Leadership School for Girls. And rounding us out is Principal Machado, Melissa Machado, who is the principal of Stafford Visual and Performing Arts. Sorry. So as you look at this slide, I'd like to share that we educate over 4,000 elementary students through innovative choice-driven schools. We have specialized programs in leadership, dual language, and performing arts. We ensure equity and opportunity for all students. Tonight, we're going to hear how our leadership schools, our dual language academy, and our visual and performing arts each are designed to provide unique pathways for student success. And now we'll turn it over to Dr. Monica Munoz.
Good evening, Mr. President, school board members, Dr. Hernandez, and esteemed district and community members. My name is Monica Munoz, and I proudly serve as the head of school of Las Palmas Leadership School for Girls. Our campus instructional team consists of our associate principal, Mrs. Covarrubia, our international baccalaureate coordinator, Mrs. Rodriguez-Quinones, and myself. At Las Palmas, our mission is to empower our leaders to think critically, care for themselves and others, set and surpass goals, and use their voice to collectively build a better and more just world. 5 years ago, we began creating our legacy at Las Palmas by launching Edgewood ISD's first kinder through second all-girls school. Since then, we've reached significant milestones, including becoming the first IB PYP authorized school in the state of Texas. This achievement was made possible through the partnership between Texas Council of International Studies and Edgewood ISD, ongoing teacher professional development, and the enriching opportunities that we offer our young leaders. The legacy of Las Palmas Leadership School started with Edgewood ISD's school board of prioritizing student success. Our young leaders set academic goals, they shared their progress through student-led conferences, and they received targeted interventions to support student achievement. We provide culturally relevant texts, helping our students see themselves and envision limitless possibilities. Family communication remains a priority for us. Understanding the importance of enrollment, current parents lead informational sessions for prospective families. This year, we proudly reached 350 students growing from just 88 girls 5 years ago. Our dedicated faculty drives our success. With a remarkably low turnover rate, all but 2 staff members returned from last year. New additions joined to meet the increasing enrollment at our campus. As we continue to build our legacy at Las Palmas, we are driven by ambitious goals for the future. As a kinder through 8th school of choice for girls across the city, we currently serve students from 11 ISDs across Bexar County, with the vision to reach all 20 ISDs. We welcome visits from innovative schools like the System of Greater Schools, and we look forward to hosting the Empower Network team at the end of March. Some of our aspirations include establishing a National Elementary Honor Society chapter, achieving a C rating for our K-8 program, increasing our enrollment to over 400 girls, and expanding opportunities that empower our young leaders. At LPLS, we strive daily to foster a strong sisterhood among our young leaders to our old leaders in 8th grade. Our goal is to provide an education that leaves a lasting impact, guiding them through high school, college, and their careers, in hopes that they'll cherish their time with us and one day return back to give to their community. Thank you. Dr. Duran will now highlight Roy Cisneros Leadership School for Boys.
So, good evening, everyone. My name is Mario Duran, and I am the proud head of school of Roy Cisneros Leadership School for Boys. We are the only all-boys IB school in Texas. We serve students from K to 8th grade. At RCLS, we take pride in preparing our students to meet state academic requirements and filter that experience through a global context. In other words, we push our students to think, how can my immediate community benefit from what I am learning, and how can I relate what I am learning into real life experiences that can connect me to a global community. At RCLS, our achievements are what molds our identity. For instance, we are excited to announce that as of last October, we have received the official title of IB School. With this title, we pledge to create opportunities where students can be risk takers in their learning experience, giving our students the opportunity to host and speak at the first ever TEDx youth event organized by a public school district in Bexar County serves as a key achievement to the RCLS legacy of risk-taking and resilience on a global scale. Our board goals are stamped within the fabric of our vision. At RCLS, we challenge teachers and students to aim for academic success and to view obstacles as opportunities. Our connections with parents and community are intentionally aimed to help bridge the gap of transparency. Our organizational framework provides staff members a voice in leading the school. Our future is bright at RCLS, from academic growth to introducing Project Lead the Way in college, high school awareness classes. Our legacy of resilience is every day taking shape within our Mustang family. Thank you. Now we will hear from Principal Esquivel.
Good evening. I am Marta Esquivel, the proud principal of Roosevelt Dual Language Academy, and it is an honor to lead this incredible school for the past 2 years. Creating a school of excellence is not the work of one person alone, and I am truly blessed to be surrounded by an exceptional team that is fully committed to this vision. My assistant principal, Ms. Maria Martinez, my dual language facilitator, Ms. Gisela Zaldivar, Ms. Elizabeth Silva, my math coach, and then Ms. Melissa Castillo, that is on her way. She is our literacy coach. Together, we are driving a positive change at RDLA. We've made great strides as we have launched our dual language program, successfully phasing in our kinder through 3rd grade classrooms. In this two-way model, students are learning a second language and engaging in grade level content. We are also proud to have now 9 classroom TIA teachers, which serve as model classrooms where other teachers can observe and learn best practices. We've been working hard to improve our attendance, and I am pleased to report that our ADA has increased by 3% compared to this time last year. Additionally, we continue to offer family engagement events where our RDLA community can participate in interactive activities with their children and be an integral part of their educational journey. At Roosevelt Dual Language Academy, we are focused on providing high-quality Tier 1 instruction for all students, with an emphasis on increasing the percentage of students whose score meets or higher. Our commitment is not only to support content, but also to ensure that students receiving the language support they need as they acquire their second language. We are also dedicated to the professional growth of our teachers, providing them with the time, resources, and support needed to implement best practices. Every week, our teachers participate in extended planning sessions where they collaborate, internalize lessons, share strategies, and learn from one another as part of their ongoing development. This year, we have made a concentrated effort on strengthening our communities with our families. We've been publishing our monthly campus calendars, hosting Cafecito with the Principal sessions, and organizing math and literacy nights to engage our community. At RDLA, we have a clear path forward. We are committed to achieving a C or better accountability rating, increasing enrollment, and fully phasing in all grades into the dual language two-way program by the year 25-26. As the leader of this wonderful school, I am deeply committed to our journey of creating a dual language school that our community truly deserves. There is no greater gift we can give our community than the gift of the Spanish language. Adelante, Edwin. And now Ms. Machado, our principal from Stafford Visual and Performing Arts. Thank you.
Good evening, EISD Board President, board members, Superintendent Dr. Hernandez, and distinguished guests. I am Melissa Machado, proud principal of Stafford Visual and Performing Arts. It is an honor to highlight the exceptional work happening at our school, where we foster a love of learning and creativity and empower every student to become a confident, well-rounded leader ready to thrive in an ever-changing world. At Stafford, the arts are truly the heart of our school. Our Fine Arts program sets us apart, offering upgraded spaces, theater productions, and collaborations with the Classical Music Institute. Students perform Broadway-level shows like The Lion King, gaining confidence, discipline, and leadership. Our focus on the arts fuels academic growth and drives our rising enrollment. What supports us in sustaining our success is our strong partnerships with parents who engage through initiatives like Parenting Partners, Coffee with the Principal, and hands-on literacy events. When parents step onto our school, they don't just see the vibrancy of our community, they feel it. Our commitment remains steadfast in advancing the EISD board goals with purpose and impact. Every day we work to elevate student achievement through innovative, arts-integrated instruction that enhances engagement and academic success. We strengthen family and community partnerships by expanding meaningful involvement opportunities, fostering collaboration, and maintaining transparent communication. Additionally, we are deeply invested in our educators, prioritizing teacher retention and professional development. We empower our teachers to lead beyond the classroom, sharing best practices and exemplary strategies at the district level. By doing this, we are cultivating a culture of excellence and that benefits not only our students at SVPA, but our entire EISD learning community. Looking ahead, we are committed to increasing student attendance, deepening parental engagement, and expanding and growing our arts-integrated classrooms. By continuing to innovate and refine our approach, we will ensure that every student benefits from a dynamic and immersive learning environment where creativity drives academic success. We know that when we work together, we lay the foundation for lasting success, ensuring that every child at SVPA thrives, grows, and discovers their limitless potential.
Okay, now, team, the next portion, and thank you, principals, for that amazing overview of your campuses to give all of our board members and community and colleagues just an idea of what you offer at your schools. The next part of the presentation is going to be framed around the various board, superintendent board goals and the superintendent's non-negotiables. And so this first section will deal with our accountability ratings. We'll hear from principals on the efforts that our campuses are taking around board and superintendent goals that directly relate to state accountability ratings. If you would, board, just quickly peruse the following key terms. Give you about 10 seconds to take a look, to familiarize yourself with these, because you'll hear these key terms in this next section.
The data presented on this slide highlights our district's ongoing efforts to increase the percentage of third grade students achieving meets or above on STAR reading assessment. While district-wide scores improved from 2023 to 2024, we recognize the challenges, including staff turnover, instructional shifts, and the complexity of STAR 2.0. Despite these barriers, our mid-year map projections indicate promising growth, with students expected to exceed projected reading gains. To drive this progress, we are implementing high-quality instructional materials, targeted writing support through HMH Writable, and structured lesson internalization cycles. Additionally, we are providing focused coaching, integrated interventions, and ensuring compliance with the TEA-required reading academies. Through these initiatives, our goal remains clear. That's to increase third grade reading proficiency from 26% to 60% by 2027. Ensuring that every student receives the foundation necessary for long-term academic success. The NWEA map helps measure student growth by adjusting to each student's skill level in real time. This graphic presents the middle of year growth in third grade reading across our campuses, illustrating the relationship between the observed growth, which are those purple bars, and the expected growth, which are those yellow diamonds. The data reflects varying levels of progress, with one school exceeding the expected growth and others demonstrating partial growth, where a portion of students have surpassed the goal, but others are close to having all students reach that threshold. The district comparison of third grade reading performance from the beginning of year to middle of year highlights positive growth trends amongst multiple campuses, with gains of 5 to 6 percentile points in several of our schools. While some variations in achievement occurred, the overall trajectory reflects the impact of strategic instruction, literacy interventions, and student engagement. To sustain and accelerate this progress, we remain committed to data-driven practices, targeted support, and instructional excellence, ensuring that all students continue to grow and reach grade level proficiency. The district-wide comparison of our special education performance from beginning of year to middle of year highlights both promising growth and areas for continued focus. Several campuses saw notable percentile gains, with some increasing by as much as 16 points, reflecting the effectiveness of targeted interventions, differentiated instruction, and data-driven decision-making. These improvements demonstrate the positive impact of instructional strategies designed to meet the unique needs of our SPED students. This visual reading in action highlights the key instructional strategies and professional learning practices that support literacy development. It showcases a comprehensive approach to reading instruction, including instructional coaching, small group interventions, guided reading, and foundational skills development. Educators collaborate through district and campus PLCs, refine lesson delivery through internalization, and utilize data-driven goal setting to enhance student outcomes. Our focus in third grade reading is to reinforce effective instructional practices while refining strategies to deepen student learning. Key reinforcements include the use of high-quality instructional materials to strengthen vocabulary and phonics, ongoing professional development to equip teachers with the latest literacy strategies, and specialized training in K through third grade reading academies to enhance reading fluency and comprehension. Literacy coaches provide targeted support and small group instruction, ensuring personalized interventions to meet individual student needs. In refining our approach, we are integrating writing across all subjects to strengthen literacy connections, expanding students' ability to construct extended responses using STAR-aligned rubrics, and incorporating high-level questioning to foster critical thinking and engagement. These refinements help students in developing the analytical skills necessary for deeper comprehension and academic success. Next, you will hear from Principal Munoz, who will speak about NWEA math.
So our goal in math is to increase the percentage of students in third grade who score at the meet or above on STAR. This is a very important goal at the elementary level because it does impact students when they enter middle school. When students are at the meet or above level, this sets them This sets them on the pathway in 6th grade and 7th grade to take those advanced courses in math, which then leads them to taking Algebra 1 in 8th grade. One of our highlights from the 23-24 STAR Math for 3rd grade students across our district did show an 8% increase in meets from performing at 19% to now 27%. One of our assessments that all students do take district-wide is the NWEA MAP. This most recent data from MAP resulted in the district's meets level currently at 29%. Each campus receives district support in implementing a new math curriculum called Eureka K-4. Teachers work in professional learning communities at the campus and district level to collaborate on math instructional strategies. The data tables before you show observed and expected growth from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year. The district percentage of students meeting their expected growth was at 44%. Each campus showed growth in supporting students in their understanding of math concepts. The data tables represented on this slide reflect student achievement levels. As a district, we increased the student achievement level from the 28th to the 31st percentile. We will continue to collaborate as colleagues to ensure by the end of the year, our students will continue to increase in that student achievement level for 3rd grade. The data tables before you on this slide reflect student achievement level for students that receive special education services. As a district, we are maintaining student achievement level. Case managers at each campus work with teachers and administrators to monitor the progress of each student. Students learn math through hands-on learning as they use concrete models to help support the understanding of math concepts. Students work in various groups to communicate and lead their own learning. This is possible through advanced lesson planning that teachers engage in weekly with the support of campus instructional teams and district coordinators. Teachers analyze student data weekly and then do plan small group instruction to intervene or enrich based on student supports. Teachers across the district do use Eureka Math as a Tier 1 instructional resource. Teachers use district-approved supplemental resources to provide small group instruction. Areas to continue refining include teacher planning for Tier 1 instruction, tutoring to meet each student's needs, and math coaches at all campuses. And then, Principal Esquivel will talk about MClass.
MClass is a universal screener required by the state of Texas under House Bill 3. We use this assessment for students in kindergarten through 2nd grade. Its primary purpose is to evaluate literacy skills across all students and serve as a dyslexia screener, helping identify those who may need additional monitoring through MTSS RTI. The screener is available in both English and Spanish. Please take a moment to review the slide with key terms as we discuss MClass. MClass and MClass Lectura provide us with a composite score that summarizes student skills across multiple measures using grade-specific benchmarks. Through this universal screener, we identify students who may struggle with reading. It's a preventative tool that helps schools pinpoint students who may require extra support. As mandated by Texas state law, this assessment also includes indicators for dyslexia. Now let's look at our MClass data in kindergarten by campus. When we look at the scores on the left, we do want to factor the new enrollment of new students and consider schools, when we consider schools showing a decrease in their data. Our goal is to determine how we can support our kindergarten students between now and the end of the year. Next, we'll review MClass Lectura, which focuses on our emergent bilingual population and their performance on this assessment. As seen on the left, 3 out of the 4 schools represented have shown growth based on this screener. At the district level, we observed a 14% increase in monolingual classrooms, while MClass Lectura shows a slight 2% decrease. Moving forward, we will focus on how to better support our emergent bilingual students in bilingual classrooms to close the gap. Looking ahead, we are working on using this data to develop targeted action steps aimed at enhancing students' reading skills, ensuring they are prepared for a strong finish this school year. We have identified several key reinforcements and refinements to enhance student performance on our M-Class and M-Class Lectura assessment. Our reinforcements include consistent and rigorous implementation of foundational skills, lessons with daily fidelity, regular use of research-based instructional practices that are tailored to the needs of second language learners, and ongoing monitoring for both instruction and student data to guide and inform next steps. The refinements aimed at improving outcomes for our bilingual classrooms are intentional teacher planning for early intervention, focusing on skills that students typically struggle with, creating classroom opportunities for students to voice and address misconceptions, which help redirect their learning process, and clearly explain to students that the targets to increase with each assessment so that the class can begin to goal set. And now I turn it over to Dr. Duran.
Good evening, everyone. In relation to attendance, this slide will provide guidance on specific acronyms that you might want to reference as I speak. In moving forward with district goals, each campus attendance goal represents the minimum attendance percentage we aim for. Ultimately, we strive for all students and families to embrace our banner of attendance matters. This indeed is not an easy task. However, each campus dedicates daily efforts to ensure students are present and ready to learn every day. We focus on continuous improvement on family communications to ensure clarity of attendance expectations. This in part is made possible by providing attendance recovery both after school and on designated Saturdays. In addition, home visits are conducted for students with high attendance concerns. Attendance warning letters informing parents of the students' attendance progress are also sent in home in efforts to clarify our attendance expectations. I'm happy to announce that our schools understand the importance of motivating students to attend schools and have also met their individual attendance goals. On this slide, you will see the many PBIS efforts our campuses are doing to promote incentives related to attendance. It is important for students to know that we are invested in good attendance and that attendance matters in many ways. Each individual campus focuses on ensuring proper attendance is maintained daily and that teachers understand the urgency for proper attendance documentation. We will continue to work on flagging at-risk students early so that support services can be provided before attendance issues escalate. Thank you for your attention. We will now hear from Principal Mata.
Next, we're going to go into Goal 4 Priority 2, which is to improve two-way communication and parent engagement. And these are two key terms that we are going to be referring to. Our campuses are dedicated to strengthening the partnership between home and school by implementing a variety of strategies that foster a greater sense of belonging within our community. This initiative remains in progress as we continuously refine and expand our communication efforts. Our campuses utilize multiple engagement opportunities, including open house events, meet the teacher, and weekly newsletters, ensuring that parents have access to critical information regarding their child's education. However, we do recognize the challenges, such as varying parent work schedules and lower attendance at academic-focused events compared to social gatherings. To address these challenges, we have prioritized key initiatives that include providing individualized support to families facing academic or emotional difficulties and fostering meaningful ongoing conversations between parents, students, and the community. Our progress is measured through key metrics such as parent portal registration, where an average of 36% of our schools are currently enrolled. Through these targeted efforts, we are confident that we will continue to build a more engaged and informed parent community, ultimately enhancing student success. To reinforce our communication efforts, we have implemented multiple strategies to engage our parents. This slide highlights examples of our communication tools, including campus updates that are shared via social media, monthly newsletters, invitations to campus events, and school event calendars. These artifacts demonstrate our commitment to keeping families informed and engaged. From structured parent workshops to event schedules, we ensure that parents have access to the resources they need to support students' success both at school and at home. To continue improving two-way communication, we are reinforcing the use of our diverse communication tools, structured feedback loops, and ongoing training to families to support learning at home. We recognize the need to refine our approach by increasing parent participation in the parent portal and tracking engagement metrics such as the response rates and the event attendance. Identifying the most effective communication methods will allow us to tailor outreach efforts to better meet the needs of our families. Next, you will hear from Principal Esquivel, who will speak on coordination of services.
So please take a moment to review the slide with key terms as we transition into our serve and support section of our presentation, focusing on Goal 6 aligned to priorities 3, 4, and 5. At EISD, we are committed to serving and supporting the whole child. We have worked diligently to implement comprehensive safety measures across our campuses. In addition, we support our students by implementing PBIS and providing a strong SEL curriculum, along with support programs designed to nurture their well-being. Our goal is to ensure that every student not only feels safe and supported, but also thrives in our schools. Our most recent data for our 3 key initiatives shows that 100% of our campuses are conducting daily checks and meeting school safety requirements. 100% of schools have established a PBIS team, and 100% of our schools, 100% of students have access to SEL curriculum and support. Our continued focus at EISD is on maintaining school safety, promoting health and wellness for all, building strong partnerships with our families, and fostering positive cultures. As we continue to advance our work around our key initiatives, we have identified our following reinforcements: ongoing monitoring of the effectiveness of research-based practices to promote positive behavior, continuous assessment of campus culture and climate, campus-level audits of our daily door checks to ensure safety, and standardized safety protocols across the district. And the following refinements: a holistic approach to supporting students through PBIS, SEL lessons, and conscious discipline, individualized student support to meet diverse needs, providing ongoing support to parents in accessing our resources, and continuous improvement for our safety plans. On behalf of my colleagues, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to our esteemed board members, Dr. Hernandez, our superintendent, for your time and attention this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we start the question process, I would like to recognize our 1882 partners. We have 2 1882 partners that oversee 3 of the schools that are represented here. If you all would just stand up and just wave to everybody. There you go. And then right here back at the back. And then I'd also like to recognize the campus administrative staff that are in attendance this evening. So if you guys would stand up, I'd like for everybody to see who you are. Thank you so much for coming. Your hard work and your dedication, and working collaboratively with your campus principals. So at this time, are there any follow-up questions from the board? Yes, sir.
Just real quick, are we going to go over the 5th grade stuff, or what is the purpose of the 5th grade one?
Because we only discussed 3rd grade based on the board superintendent goals, we gave you additional data for 4th and 5th grade for you to review on your own. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Talk to me a little bit about the 32% portal for the parents. Why is it only at 32%?
That's a very good question. That has been a push for us this year. We have used our PR department, social media. Dr. Hernandez has put it on a lot of his communications with families. That's something that we're pushing. We do have signs at every school in the front where parents can sign the QR code to sign up for Parent Portal. Teachers talk about it, they put it on Class Dojo. So that's just one area that we're continuing to improve. And it's just like when we, what was the last thing that occurred? Just like with the immigration information, that was one of the ways that we were gonna communicate to parents, and we encouraged them to sign up to Parent Portal, so that we can be able to communicate with them on a regular basis. But right now, the communication is social media, Thrill Share, which is on our website, that sends out automatic emails. You've probably been on them, phone calls. So we're really just trying to find the best way to communicate with all of our parents. I don't know if you want to add.
Yeah, I do. So, great question, Mr. Lopez. It's actually very timely. So I'll use today's event, for example. I know we had a visitor in this evening for the meeting. The events that happen on our campuses will usually go out in the form of, through Parent Portal. I won't go over all the lists that she went over in terms of how we're trying to reach out to parents. Parents will get an email. If we have their email, they will get a phone call, they will get a text message, they will get everything else that she just mentioned. Our challenge is our parents are not signing up. We also have instances where parents are changing phone numbers because they have to, but they don't update them. And so we take every opportunity. I know one of the principals, I believe it was Marta, that mentioned she has Cafecito with the principal. Well, they all do, and not just the principals that are here, but principals in general. And so they're taking every opportunity, but we can't force the community to do that. And of course, there are other privacy things at times that happen, but we do try to be as thorough and as informative as we can. Everybody in here that's listening to this, there are also people that can promote that, ambassadors to the information that goes out of the district, so we would ask you to keep it. And I'm referring to the Gus Incident. Board, you know your cadence, you get it from us directly, the information, but that information is going on it, and I use the word cadence very specifically. We have a cadence on information. Of course, I believe it was discussed last week, and you were there at the safety committee meeting. There are some times where we can't communicate as quickly because there are still things that are still moving targets or moving information. Okay, so sometimes we have to wait a little bit. And you didn't hear that just from the ISTPD, you heard that from the SA officer. I think it was the safety officer that was there, who also cooperated that, because that's just bottom line, the way business has to be done.
Yes, sir.
So my question kind of relates to the Parent Portal thing. Also, when I talk to parents, we ask them, are you on Parent Portal? They say, no, I'm on Class Dojo. So maybe if the campuses can help me understand what's kind of similar with these two systems, what's different, that might help out.
Sure.
I was going to ask if I could share earlier, because we do use, at least at our campus, I can speak for, we use Class Dojo, and that is very instant. Like, we get on there with an announcement we've posted, and immediately, right, we see how many views we have. We can post something, and within 2 minutes, and that's not an exaggeration, within 2 minutes, we have 462 views of what we sent out. And so I think parents feel, right, that they're getting the information a lot quicker there than having to sign on to a portal or to, so the information, that's what I wanted to let earlier, that they're still getting the information just through a different platform, in addition to the various events that we're having. So on one of our slides, like one of our campuses has had 22 events, so we're getting parents in, it just looks different on different campuses and different events. But I will say, right, like just speaking directly to Class Dojo, it's very quick to use. Parents see it right away. They get a notification.
And it's also teacher.
And it's also teacher as well.
Like the other platform, it's just like everybody gets one big blanket one. That Class Dojo, teachers can also communicate just about their class, and then the school can communicate about the whole school as well. So they do prefer, exactly what Principal Chavez said, is they don't feel like they're out of the communication loop because they're getting it through that platform. And I do know we've worked, because we presented this early on when we met with the secondary, and we've almost, I know it's low, but we've doubled our numbers at the middle school when we first presented on that. But what we've come to find out too is when parents try to do it through their cell phones, there was a glitch. And so we're having to have them go through like an actual desktop. And so when we started to do that, but Ms. Baldaldua is really good about, we sent her something and she's right away helping our parents sign up. So that part we saw was a small little glitch.
The various ways that we try to communicate with parents, we will continue to expand any and all ways for us to communicate. So our campuses have multiple social media sites. Facebook, Instagram, and other ways. Class Dojo is like a, almost set up like a social media site for parents. In a similar way, Parent Portal serves another purpose where parents can actually access attendance and grades and then other messages from the school. Like today's event, the other thing that we do is send hard printed letters home. So any and every way that we can communicate with parents, we'll continue to explore all those options and use all platforms that are available.
So like for like the Class Dojo, like do the schools track the attendance in Class Dojo as well, or is it just through the parent portal?
Parent Portal is our secured student information system. It's connected directly to Frontline. And so it actually is the official secured portal that parents can get information like grades and attendance. And they have, it's password protected and all of that stuff. Unlike a social media platform where everyone gets the same message, even with Class Dojo, it's a communication platform, so that teachers can send out messages just to parents in those classes. But all of these communication platforms with parents are opt-ins. Parents have to actually sign up for Class Dojo, like I have on my phone for my little girl Perales. You have to sign in, you have to create an account, you have to get approved by the school. Parent Portal is the same way. It's just yet another vehicle for communication with parents. They all serve a little different purposes, and then there's a lot of overlap as well.
Yeah, so like mine is like seeing from like a board member perspective, it's just like we have the Frontline that we're supposed to be, that's how we're gathering the communication. But then like maybe it would increase if we also like put in what they're doing with Class Dojo, but also like we pay like a lot of money for the Frontline, but like the parents don't want to register the accounts. Like there's a lot of parents, like the ones that I talk to, they're in Class Dojo and not Frontline.
Right.
So that's kind of the frustration that I'm seeing from myself.
Thank you.
I'll open for their questions. Then you're listening to all of this, I've yet to hear how we communicate with the Spanish-speaking people. There's some out there that just don't, or the elderly that don't have the means of how, what we're saying. But a lot of the elderly, some of the grandparents are raising their kids. So they need to know. So is there something that we can do or we're working on for that, for the Spanish people? And then for the elderly, they're raising their, sending kids, grandkids to school.
So I know at Dual Language Academy, we do send out all information in both languages. So we do send it in English and in Spanish. Our platform is Remind, so we ensure that when we post that it is in both Spanish, English and Spanish. We do know that in K through 3, we do have Spanish-speaking families and English-speaking families. So again, teachers do know that the expectation is that when they send communication to parents through their app, through our Remind app, that it is in both languages to support. And then we always diligently do send a hard copy, because I do know that I do have grandparents that say, I don't use my phone, I don't have a phone. So we have our copies, and they're also posted. They're posted, so as they come into our schools, we have extra copies for them. But
Or they do go on in Spanish for in fact, you have those in there. You send those to me.
Yes, we get in Spanish. That's okay. But I worry about this, because across the street, I have some elderly that they're sending their grandkids. They're little kids. So, and she's afraid to come and ask me. So my sister next door said, no, you got to ask my brother. So now she has me.
So we'll also do home visits. So our schools are really good about knowing all of our parents. We also know the parents that have trouble reading the grandparents. So we'll do home visits out there, because we have a lot of grandparents that are raising the children. And so counselor, principal will go out there, do home visits. We'll help them fill out the paperwork too, right? Even if it's like registration paperwork. Because they'll tell us, I'm not, I said, no, not a problem. We'll come to you if you can't come to us, and we'll sit there and we'll help you fill out the paperwork. So we also do that too.
Thank you, guys.
yes, sir.
Also, like frontline, like, that's why I really want a highly stressed frontline, because we get the parents involved in the elementary school, and it'll trickle on to when they really use it to really track the students' grades and attendance, which I might be maybe more concerned with my grades and attendance in middle school and high school. So that's why I would like to stress frontline is really important.
Yes, thank you. Yes, sir.
Next question, because I saw the IP schools, and I just want to know what's different from the PYP authorized and MYP candidate.
Okay. So they're two separate, so IB has 4 different programs, and so the primary years program is what you can serve at the elementary level, actually up to 6th grade. So we went through that journey 3 years ago, I think it is, and so it's a process to get authorized. They come, they evaluate you, you get a full like 50-page report of everything you have to improve, so you get that authorization. Then you apply, now because we do have the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, we have applied to be a candidate school. So we're pretty much going through the exact same process now for middle school years program, which the learner profile connects every IB student across the globe, regardless of what level, but it switches as far as, because now it's secondary level and it'll carry them into 10th and to 9th and 10th grade. It now is more content specific versus at the elementary where there's like this unit of inquiry that kind of encompasses everything. It changes, because it's also different requirements at the middle school years program, MYP. And so you would go through it all over again. Everybody has to get, those secondary teachers that are with us now, they go through a different set of training.
I kind of want to turn this conversation, well, I'm not done asking the questions, but like, Dr. Nanda, because they're kinder through 8th grade, but like, what's going to happen once they reach high school? Because like, I did talk to the CEO of the IB, and they said that they also can continue like in high school. So like, when are we going to have this conversation with the district? Like, are we going to continue that? Are they going to get another district? That's what I'm really concerned about with the state.
So that's a really good question. We have the same concerns. It will depend on staffing needs. It will depend on building space and availability. Those are conversations we've had at the same time as we're also having conversations about making sure that our other buildings are also in a position to continue to move forward. And so I don't know that that's necessarily a conversation that we're going to be able to take on right now. But I know both Margaret and Margaret and
Karen Phillips.
Yes, Karen, have both talked to me about it. And so it's something for the future. Obviously, it's a good problem to have. We felt originally back when we started our second grade group that we would be able to answer that question. Obviously, the landscape has changed both financially, politically, and those are things we have to consider. And so I think in a few years, we'll be able to have that conversation and determine where will we put the program. Because obviously, we want our kids to stay with us, especially after they've dedicated, what is it now, Don, 6 years?
Yes. And I will, because that has been something our families have asked since the years we started this. And I don't think I see him in here. One of the things, because we're new, right, to adding 8th grades our first year, so we're also learning the transitions in our district on what middle school looks like going into high school. So as heads, we're even learning about what our own high schools offer. And so this year, the CTE and Mr. Uribe, right?
Yes.
He did because I will tell you, our girls came back, because that was our concern, is we definitely don't want to lose our students, even though they come from other places in the city, to return either back to their home district, right? And so when they did that CTE visit to all of, I can tell you, our girls and probably the boys too, they came back so impressed with what was being offered at Kennedy, what was being offered at Memorial, and I think they did a really good job in making sure that girls were speaking for those programs, because they came back and talked, I think, the mechanics, or it was one of them, and it was a girl, and they all came back so excited and even changing. So they are understanding that they also have choice here, and we really are talking to our parents so that they do stay here in our district and are choosing, right, either Memorial, Fine Arts, those. So that was a really big piece for them. They came back kind of changing between the high schools based off of the pathway. So we're learning that too. That helps us have the conversation going back to the parents and the grandparents, because the grandparents will tell us, I don't know where to send them. And so we'll tell them too, well, you know what, we'll get the high school counselors to come out and we're gonna learn with you so we can make the best choice for them.
Doc, I think the other thing I'd add to that, because of myself, I have a daughter that went to OB. Some of the IB track will also, in terms of keeping them in the district, we have other dual credit programs that kids can go straight into. And that's obviously not just a great program, it's money saving, because our girls tend to do really well in this program. And so accumulating that 60-hour program, walking out with the associate's degree, I think, to your point, it's market the programs we have. The other thing I've learned with IDEA also, it's not just about let's put the program on the school. Like if we said tomorrow we're going to put it at JFK, there's a whole culture that has to be developed around IDEA. Not to mention the training, which is extensive training. So the commitment that teachers have to put into for a program like IDEA is above and beyond what the state minimum is. And they have to now dedicate summers and additional days of training. And so those are also conversations we need to have beyond, do we have a space at a high school? Do we have the teachers that want to go to high school? That's the other part. And then, of course, the coordinators. We would have to have a coordinator. I know we've had a conversation about putting a coordinator 1 year fully in advance of them even coming. Because now you got to create a culture that's ready to receive the young ladies and the young men when they get to that point. So, good question.
Can I clarify just a thing about the ID? So, there, like Dr. Munoz said, there are 4 programs: the primary years program, the middle years program, which is 6th and 10th, and then the DP program, which is 11th and 12th grade, and then the CP program, which is like the career path. And not all schools have the middle year program in 9th and 10th grade. They may just have the diploma program in 11th and 12th grade, and there's all iterations of that. So even though we might not have something for next year in 9th grade, there are ways that we can potentially look at tracking or planning for DP in the future. And we've been having conversations with Edgewood and looking at all different kinds of models, because with IB, there's not necessarily just one way to do IB. And so we have the benefit of having our Texas IB Partners School, TIBS, to help us look at the different models, not only here in Texas, but also internationally. And so there's obviously conversations we've been having about how can we continue IB for our students in the future.
At Cisneros, we've actually been planning for your question that you had. Where do they go after 8th grade? And so we've been creating what's called a college room, and our students are the ones that are creating it. They're reaching out to, for instance, they reached out to Memorial, to John F. Kennedy. We reached out also to Alamo Cafe College to get resources for this room, because what we want to do is, if they cannot go to an IB high school, we want them to be exposed to the pathways that Edgewood has and be informed and make wise decisions on the information that they have, so that way they know, oh, I might go to an IB, but I can go to P-Tech, I can go to early college. And what does this mean when it comes to making the right choices based on the counseling from the guidance counselor? Because we want to make sure that they go, if they want to go to early college, what does that really mean? What does an associate's in art mean as opposed to a certificate? So we want to create a room where they'll be able to get all this information and also give it to the parents, so that way they'll be prepared. Oh, it doesn't matter where I go, because I still have choices here. I don't have to go look into other places.
Thank you, guys. I'm going to move. I know we just started and we have other presentations, so I want to go ahead and move so on. Do we have any more questions, guys, before I move on?
One question. This is regarding like the maps. So I recently went to Apado and I saw one of their elementary schools, and then some of the students they're presenting, like they track their own like scores. they also have their own goals that they want to do, like next year, next time I take the test, I want to increase it this one. I was wondering if we do that here in Edgewood.
Martha just did that.
Yes.
So we do goal set. So we actually last Thursday engaged our parents in a goal setting session where we informed our parents of the NWA family report, what it consisted of, and what to look for, and how to create that partnership with our parents and our students to have a strong finish. So we had a very successful night, and every student on our campus, K through 5, do goal set, and I know that all our schools do goal set with each student.
And board, those are really good. So back to the conversation about how we're communicating with parents. So I would ask us all to really reflect on, there was ways we were communicating with, this is how it typically goes. We think schools communicate the way we were communicating when we were kids. Typically that's what we see. So I would ask us to expand our thinking and reflect on, the schools are doing everything they can. That's why I'm glad I looked at Martha's, because Martha's, yours was very recent. And in fact, we were gonna share that in the board update, because yes, goal setting is extremely powerful. In fact, Joseph Rodriguez over in Bilingual did that has been doing it with TELPAS. They've been also goal setting in terms of the kids that have to take that exam as well. So good question, and we'll make sure we add that to the board update so we can go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Let's give them a hand.
Yes.
Is it okay if they kind of?
Yes, yes. They've been at it already. Thank y'all, thank you. Let's let him transition now. There's dinner in there, if y'all put that in there.
Thank you so much.
How about the minutes, guys? Thank y'all.
So like, you meet it on Thursday? Then I'll go see you at 3. I just put it at 3. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. How are you? Great. Thank you.
How are you?
Tell me what time. Yes. I think I am. Can I check? I'll check when I get home, and then I'll send it
Got your good side.
Yeah, she went that way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Everything or nothing? One of the other.
You better save me a hospice. Ding dong.
Okay, you've been quiet, baby. You've been quiet, baby. Leave him alone. No, leave him alone. Don't take much of his thing now.
No.
Yes, watch your step, please.
I wouldn't know, sir.
There's restrooms here, and then.
They came. They're always doing something. Yeah, it's a great example. I just follow the example.
We used to have
There's
double.
something. Follow the example. Yeah, I remember him.
He's all, how can you not remember?
I'm never gonna forget him again.
See, that's what I'm dealing with.
I hear you. But see, we would do that if we didn't know.
I know. Yeah, Mr. Joe was giving me the business. He's like,
Hombre.
There you have it.
Hey, wait, doesn't that speak to my professionality that I trust you, Mr. Williams?
I don't know if I'd be flattered by that.
And so then he goes in his phone and has me in his phone. So how did my phone in my?
I have his personal cell phone number too.
How do you get that?
All right, I'm here to stay.
All right. Then let you get up. I'm sorry.
What happened to you?
I beat him up.
Oh, no.
It's awful. I'm sorry.
My defense, I need thousands of people
But,
It's all right.
oh, you want
I deserve that one.
Guys, there's cake if anybody wants cake.
I should have saved it.
All right, guys, everybody get back. We can get moving. There you go. All right, let me just see what's in here.
Dr. James is in Benjamin. There he is.
It's the shirt, it does that to everybody.
All right, Mr. C, you go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Dr. Hernandez. And tonight, we're going to be looking at Lone Star Governance Monthly Report. This month, it addresses Goal 2, Priority 1. And I'll be presenting alongside with Dr. Basuto. And I have Ms. Christian Vada, who is our mathematics coordinator for elementary, and also Mr. Ernest Ruiz. Together, the team, we worked to piece together the actual data that's being presented in here today. Again, this is our North Star goal to ensure that our campuses are A and B in terms of grade reporting by the year 27-28. So, as mentioned before, every month we utilize and adhere to the Lone Star Governance Monthly Reporting Calendar, which was approved by the board in August of '24. And this month, for the board workshop for March 4th, we're looking at Goal Progress Measures 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3, which are K1 and 2 grade level mathematics, along with grade 3, because our goal is strategic goal number 2, looking at students in grade 3 who have meets in mathematics STAR at the end of the year. And the baseline was established. Good to see you. At 20% back in June 2022. So I want to give you a couple of minutes, couple of seconds rather, to look at these working vocabulary terms as we go through this. You've seen these before. We've used them in previous LSG trainings, our reports rather, and these components are the bedrock of what we do in academics. Okay, so you've seen this particular template. This is a template that we've used for our strategic goals, and in here we have the status on track. I took the liberty to bold those key words here. So status on track, this is our end of the year, third grade results, STAR, are going to be our results for this particular piece. We administered the middle of the year, which this data is based on, in January 13th to the 24th, 2025, and that's where this data was taken. It's based on NWEA math, and we had a total of 2,048 students, K through 3 students, took this particular assessment. For risks and barriers, as you know, ladies and gentlemen, thank the board for allowing us to implement Eureka Math K through 4. Next year, we'll continue our implementation by adding 5th grade. And also, this is one of the components that you're looking to vote on for Bluebonnet Mathematics K-5, which is the same as the Eureka product. The other thing that we do for this math implementation, and this replicates the things that we do in reading in other areas, in other core content areas, we have what are called campus walks, instructional rounds, data review sessions. Those include representatives from the campus, the entire campus team, academics, Office of School Leadership, where they go to a campus and they walk into classrooms and they evaluate those pieces, right? So that, our whole series of those three areas where the entire team descends upon a campus to see how things are being implemented. With that, I want to talk about the pending finances that we have for mathematics support to continue this mathematics support. And when I talk about pending finances, Dr. Hernandez continuously talks about what are we going to do in terms of vouchers, school funding, and that whole financial component that we're so dependent on for the state for. And also included in that is mathematics teacher recruitment and retention. So critical for this particular area because of the knowledge skills for those individuals. At this time, I'm going to invite Dr. Basuto to come up and talk about these key initiatives, the metrics, and some most recent data.
Okay, good evening, board. President Hernandez, Superintendent Dr. Hernandez, and everybody else here in the room. So what we know to be true is that we are rolling out new instructional materials, right? So like with anything else, teachers were used to, for many years, navigating through STEM scopes, which is what our old mathematics product used to be. So now we're rolling out the new Eureka Math Year 1. So this is our implementation year. So because we knew that going in, there were some things that we had to determine moving forward to build capacity around these materials because they are brand new to us. And so like anything else was just even building the overall capacity of our K-4 teachers. By that, what we meant is, how do we even utilize the platform? What does that look like? How is that different from STEM scopes? So there was a lot of training and professional development from the very beginning of the year, also with our designated professional development days, even till now, where we're continually working with our teachers so that they know how to navigate and use the materials appropriately. Along that way, is I want to zero in, I'm not going to speak to all of them because I kind of described this process, but the one that I want to speak to is Texas Lesson Study. So you're wondering, what is that? What that is a process, a robust process that's rolled out through the Texas Education Agency on how to lesson plan and internalize the lessons using these products. So it's a process in the system. It's not like we just show up and we just put the products on the table and just figure it out. No. There's a very structured process. We sit down, there's a lesson internalization. You hear that a lot. I think you heard that a lot from our principals this morning, or in the earlier presentation. Lesson internalization board, or just simplifying it, is being able to take the materials, make sense of them, so then I know how I'm going to deliver. That's what that means, but there's a process for it. So there's a lot of work around that, and we're continuing to work because there is a learning curve for our teachers on these new materials. So that's what you see here with the initiatives and the metrics, etc.
Okay, so we're now going to start looking at, first of all, the kindergarten data that we have. And we say it's from our middle of the year, which was in January. We had as a baseline 25% for kindergarten. At the end of 23, we had an increase to 36%. Great increase. The next part was 2024 end of year. And we saw a slight increase from 36 to 37. Currently, 31% to 32%. Our beginning of the year was 31, our end of the year, our middle of the year rather, was at 32%. 44% is our goal. I'm going to come back after I go through all three of these and have a conversation exactly what Dr. Basuto spoke to. But first, let me go over these data. So this is our data from our subpopulations. We have our all kinder, break down by our campus. We have our bilingual students. We have our special education students. And our Kindle economic disadvantage. As you know, it was 32%. And it's been a pattern that I've kind of pointed out for both mathematics and reading. For all students, 32%. We see our bilingual students scoring a tad bit higher. For our special ed students, at a lower number, it's 17%. And of course, eco disadvantage looks very similar to all students simply because of the numbers, the percent of economic disadvantage students we've had. Going on to progress measure 2.2, looking at students in first grade, with the baseline at 13% in 2022, we had an increase from 13 to 21% in 2023. In 2024, our end of the year was at 28%, so we see the steady climb. And this year, we started out at 19% at the beginning of the year, and we dropped 2 percentage points here in 17%. And again, we're going to address that in a tad bit. We noticed also that this first grade, ladies and gentlemen, was a pilot group that we worked with last year. And I know Dr. Brasus is going to talk about how that kind of rolled out, but we did that last year from January in our pilot to the end of the year, and that's where we saw some of the greatest increases in the same grade level. Now, our goal for here, and this particular area for this year, is 39%. These, again, are our scores, 17, 25% for emergent bilingual, clearly 8 percentage points above, and 6% for special education, of course, 17% for EcoDis. Moving on to grade 2, we started off at 9% in 2022, increased that to 17% by the end of the year of 2023. Into 2024, we saw a baseline, kind of like a stagnant number. Hence, this was also the reason why we wanted to look at the Eureka Math program. This year, we started the year at 15% and dropped 2 percentage points, okay? Down to 13%. Our goal for this is 34%. Now, this is the same, again, the data is 13%, 14% for bilingual, 0 at special education, and 12% for the economically disadvantaged. Let's go on now to our LSG Goal 2, which is 3rd grade, and we started off at 20%. We had a drop at the end of the year. Now, this is STAR data, so this is where the STAR comes in. Hence, our goal is looking at STAR mathematics will increase from 20% to 50% by the end of by June 2027. So we started off at 20%, we dropped in 23 to 17%. We had an increase at the end of 24 by 6 percentage points. This year, we started off at the beginning of the year at 19% and had moved the needle up 2 percentage points at 21%. And 38% is our goal. Now, here is our 21% for our all aggregate, 21% for bilingual, 8% for special education, and of course, 20% for the economic disadvantaged. I believe Dr. Brasus is going to give you an explanation to kind of give you some feedback, or background rather, on where we've been and what are some reinforcements and refinements that we have.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chavez. So, I'm not going to read this verbatim as far as the reinforcements and refinements. Instead, I'm going to go and describe to you our journey. This is what we call a journey. So, as you recall, board, back in 22-23, the start of the journey was where the district engaged in a Math Foundations agreement where we were trained by the state in the research-based instructional strategies, what we call RBs. Okay? Not RBs, the restaurant, but just research-based instructional strategies. I know that's what people think, right? Now, what's amazing about that is we learn through science-based instruction on how to teach mathematics. And I'm going to give you some examples right now and explain as to what I mean by that. Upon that training, we then convene a group of teachers, our gifted teachers, our talented teachers here, along with central office staff, and then we created a math instructional framework that had 4 pillars. That was last year. Now this, last year, also part of that process in creating that framework, we were then being very, very meticulous about looking at what instructional resources can help us lift that RBs, or the research-based instructional strategies. Because not all the materials that you put in front of teachers and kids lends themselves to those things. Hence, Eureka Math. We piloted 1st grade last year, and we had some good gains. So we were excited and said, you know what, let's roll this out, K4. Remember that when I brought that to you. So then, we've now, like I mentioned earlier, put new instructional materials in front of teachers. Now, what does that mean? So the impact is this: as we were looking at the information, we were looking at teacher surveys, we've been looking at the data critically. We're like, what's going on? And so based on the information that we've gathered, we've determined some things. First and foremost, one of the things that we saw is that when we transitioned out of STEM scopes into Eureka Math, which is now Bluebonnet, teachers had to shift their mindset when they plan. From what I teach to how I teach. So by that, we mean Back in the day, when we had STEP scopes, we would sit down, we would look at the standards, and then teachers had the latitude and the ability to create activities based on what they thought kids needed. When we do research-based instruction, that is not the case, because we want to make sure it's tied aligned, and they're telling you what you have to teach, so then now teachers now spend, instead of them figuring out the activities, they're spending their time in how I'm going to teach it, and that's very different. So you had a situation where teachers, and especially many of our tenured teachers, had the autonomies to determine what, and now we're saying, here's what the is. Now we're wanting you to listen, internalize, and focus on the how. How are we going to deliver? Now here goes to my next point. Why is that important on the how? Because under the RBs, research-based instructional strategies, mathematics has two major components, what we call procedural math and conceptual math. Let me explain procedural math. Procedural math is probably what everybody in this room received when we were in grade school. And I'll give you an example. I don't know if you remember the day when the teacher will go up on the board and say, here's the fraction, walk you through the steps of what you have to do, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and voila, you have the answer. And I don't know if y'all remember that. And so our teachers will go up there and say, okay, anytime you see this problem, first you do this, this, and this. That's what we call procedural math. It gives you the steps. So then after that, the teacher will then turn around and give you 3 or 4 different problems, and then you would practice, and by the end of that day, you knew how to solve that problem in that way, following those steps. That is what we call procedural math. Conceptual math is, what does it mean on the concept side? Because it's one thing to say, I know how to add 2 fractions, but do you understand the concept? So let me give you an example of what I mean by that. So, matter of fact, just yesterday, our teachers are grappling with this, because see, our teachers are used to teaching the procedural way. Here's the problem, boom, 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 follow the steps, vámonos, we got it. Well, what does it mean when you teach conceptually? So yesterday, we had a district-wide PLC planning session where we bring in our kindergarten teachers, and Ms. Barra, Christian Barra, who you met, who's our academic content coordinator for mathematics, reviews what's going to be taught in the next 3 to 6 weeks, right? And then we go over the lesson. So one of the things that they were covering was called Say 10 Way. What that means is kindergarten kids have to learn what the numbers mean when they say 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so I'm going to use the example of 16. So 16, procedurally, the way you would teach it is you give them the number line, you tell kids, okay, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 16, and then the kids know how to count to 16. And then anytime you would show the number 16, they, oh, that's 16, I know it. But the conceptual understanding of 16, when you think about it from the base 10, it's 10 and a 6. And so the teachers are like, oh, that's why we say 10 and 6, it's 16. But when you say 16 to a child, that doesn't make sense. But when you explain the concept and you say a 10 and a 6, that's the conceptual understanding. And then you take it a little step further, that's why in Spanish, they call it 16. Yes, he says. But in English, we say it backwards, 16. So a child may not understand that. So those are the conceptual understandings. And teachers are like, oh, I didn't know that. So then now teachers have to take that time and that learning to introduce it to kids. And so that's been the learning curve that we see teachers struggle with. It's like, I'm used to teaching it this way and only this way, but wait. We have to also teach it this way. So there has to be a balance between procedural and concept. Okay, so now, you're saying, well, why is this important? It's important because remember, board members, we are now in STAR 2.0. And I don't know if you remember when I presented back in August where I showed you and our commissioner stated math scores across the state are dropping every year for the past 2 years. They've been dropping. And the question is why? Well, it's because we have a new assessment. STAR 2.0, 25% of those assessments are now open-ended and you have to know the concept. So the moment you see that problem in a different way, if you don't know what the concept is, kids will not know how to attack that problem and understand it and answer it correctly. So we have to now take time to go back and rethink and retrain our teachers on, hey, when we're teaching this particular product, we have to make sure that we're teaching conceptually and procedurally. And so there's been a learning curve in how we're addressing our teachers. So that's kind of one, and I'm not giving a long-winded explanation, but it's a very important explanation because now that we're seeing and we're beginning to saw the growing pains of this process that I just described in the fall, we are now picking up cadence because now teachers are understanding why we're pushing this. They're like, oh, we get it. The state is now going into this next year. We're already ahead a year. So our growing pains are now, we're getting through it, and now we're going to hopefully start seeing the growth again. because it is something that we're gonna have to maintain. The other piece and the last piece, we just were named recipients of a LASSO grant. Many people across the state applied, and we were one of the few to be selected, and it's because of the work we've done with foundations and in the past. And this will be helping us to continue further implementing this in a more effective way. We're not gonna give up on it. We're gonna keep going, we gotta push through, and we gotta now get over that hump so that we can start seeing the positive gains moving forward.
Yes, sir.
I just have something real quick, because it says superintendent evaluation, but I'm getting confused, like, the board superintendent evaluation, for like the title of that slide.
So what we do is we look at where we're at in terms of this component, because it's LSG, which is part of the program that's used to evaluate the superintendent. And so that monitors that, we're monitoring this piece as we go forward. We're not looking at proficient now. We're not even looking at model at this point. We're looking at their monitoring. And we do feel very comfortable where we're at, because in 22-23, this whole district was awarded a grant to look at specifically how to develop high-quality instructional materials. Last year, they spent the entire year developing a mathematics plan, and this year, we're implementing that plan. And we're going to continue on with now Bluebonnet for mathematics K-5. So I guess the point is to look at, this has been a journey we've been on for 3 years, and we're monitoring at this point. Hopefully by the end of this year, when we come back at the end of the year, we'll give you the STAR results, because it really is for the STAR 3.0. I'm sorry, STAR 2.0. For third grade. Okay, any other questions? This is a change from, as you said, fluency versus conceptual. Fluency, think about automaticity. Think about your times tables. Remember that? Right, yeah. Right now, we're looking at how do we make a 16? How do we make a 24? 170, right? All these numbers are now looked at conceptually. So when you're doing standards-based mathematics like this, teachers have to really understand the concept. It's no longer this trick or rote memory. So, I'd like to thank Dr. Basuto for joining us, and of course, Ms. Christian Vada is our elementary math person who does a tremendous job. And of course, Mr. Ruiz Padilla.
Thank you. Are we gonna have?
Mr. Chavez, we have our two. Dr. Basuto? Yeah. I just have two board items. Board is item 5A on the consent agenda, which is our Bluebonnet Learning, which we had brought to you previously, but we couldn't move forward with it because the EMAT system, which is the system in which we make our orders, was not open. So now it is open, and now we're able to move forward with it. But this is the information that was presented, Dr. Silva and I presented to you back in January, I believe. And so now we're ready to move forward for your consideration. What this is basically Eureka Math, but it's now being rebranded as Bluebonnet K-5. The next piece for your approval is the general overview of certification of the provisional instructional materials. This is an annual, everyday recurrence where we certify from the state to say, here at Edgewood, here's our list of Tier 1 approved instructional materials that we're going to use here at the district. And so you're approving, you're allowing us to say, here's the approved materials as vetted through TEA that we're going to use so that we can move forward for next school year. Because here in the next month, we're going to be bringing to you the remaining Tier 1 instructional materials. So in April, we'll have a list of about 7 or 8 items where we'll say, here's next year's materials for your approval. It'll come directly from this form. And at the end of the March 22nd, is it the 20th? 25th, the following day it's signed, and this is submitted to TEA. And that's what this is. And this is your recurring item every year at this time. Yes, Mr. Lawrence.
My question was for the slide before.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, right here.
So this view, is this the one we pulled last month because it didn't have the Spanish component?
No, not because of that, but it is. Yes, sir, it is. Let me answer the question by saying yes. But it wasn't because of the Spanish component, it was because the system in which we would pull the quote was not open yet. Now, the Spanish piece of this will come next month. Now it's coming, this is the one where they said that they were already making it, so next month in April, we should be able to bring you the Spanish version of this. But we want to go ahead and order the English version because, remember, as like we told you back in January, the entire state is moving to this. So we want to get ahead of it, so we get our orders in. Yes, sir.
And my second question is like, is there gonna be like a learning curve for like the teachers to like learn this, anything we're buying or anything?
I think, yes, Mr. Valdez, like you said, you hit it on the head, like anything else, anytime we implement, and it's probably in the Spanish, because I don't think we did Spanish Eureka, so it will be a learning curve in the Spanish. Yes, it will be, to your answer. Very much like I described. It is new to them, it is gonna be something, but we already know about it, we have some lessons learned. I don't know, Dr. So you look like you wanna say something, so I'm gonna just go ahead and defer to you on that. Go ahead,
Thank
Dr.
you,
So.
Dr. Soto. So, Board, to answer the question, we have been implementing K through 4 English, Spanish, Eureka Math. So the learning curve that Dr. Barsuto was speaking of earlier today is really the growing pains that we've been experiencing this year. We've surveyed our teachers, we've provided them with ongoing district professional learning communities, and we have also been in the work with them, visiting their classrooms, etc. So where we do expect to have some growing pains next year is in grade 5, because we've done grade 4, and this will be new for our 5th grade teachers. But we do trust that the students who have been experiencing Eureka Math this year are going to be ready for 5th grade next year, and so they're carrying that learning with them into 5th grade year.
Thank you.
Just so my understanding, so this is a program or is a lesson? I don't know what this is, so I'm
Let
just
me
trying to.
explain.
Okay.
So this is instructional material. So
Okay.
every year by the state is what we call high quality instructional materials. And so that's what we as a district, we don't have a latitude district, whatever. There's a set way. The state has approved this as one of our resources. So we give you a list.
Okay.
And this is the one we're gonna pivot to. We're gonna focus.
Okay. And so we don't actually need like certificates saying, hey, we are certified in teaching Bluebonnet learning math material, right? So none of the teachers actually have to go get certified, it's just something that we implement.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct. That's a good question. No, that's correct.
This is our tier 1 instructional material. This is our number 1 instructional material.
No matter which classroom you go in, Edgewood, 3rd grade, for example, we're all using the same material. And we should all be on the same page.
So Bluebonnet is TEA approved?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Actually, Bluebonnet was developed by a component of division of TEA.
Okay.
So TEA is now going into the publishing business, so to speak.
So 213,000, that's, which are seeking approval.
Yes, sir. K-5 English. Spanish will bring to you next month.
And this certification allows us to go into that system, as Dr. Masuka called EMAT. It's a TEA system, so now we can go in and we're certified. When the board approves this, come March 25th, you're saying, yes, we acknowledge that we're getting things that are 100% based on our TEKS, and that we're using high-quality instructional materials.
Work off of the working list that TA.
So this is state approved, if I remember correctly, last month y'all talked about, if you're using state approved material, there's also an incentive?
There's a financial incentive that we have for the bonnet pieces, and that was kind of comes out in the final number. And we presented that previously.
Oh, no, I was saying by.
Oh.
And we did send you up on the last board update, the slide that kind of went back and revisited this.
Right.
We sent it on Friday, and it kind of showed you, and you're right, you mentioned about the buckets, and Dr. Silva presented.
That's right.
And we do get some incentive, and she can give you exact numbers. How much is it per pupil, Dr. Silva?
So,
Incentive per student, I remember that.
yes, we are going to be able to access entitlements this year if we do purchase Bluebonnet. So it's $20 that we can access in that third bucket, and then $40 that we can access per pupil if we use an instructional material product that was approved by the state. So we are looking to maximize those
So
funds.
as a product generator, they're also providing incentives to use their product. Okay. The next item is policy update 124. I think those of you in the room who came to my presentation, we're going to be basically submitting to the board all 8 local policies as written and recommended by CASB. There has not been any recommendation to make any changes to those. So that's going forward. Next slide, please. Dr. Hernandez.
Yes, so I want to Mr. Valdez and I talked about something here just a while ago, and I want to make sure I reiterate, especially because I've got two of you guys that are new, and then this will be great for everybody just to remember. So we go back to the slide that says superintendent's evaluation on the Lone Star governance. So, guys, when you get these presentations, Mr. Valdez asked a question about, so is this directly coming off of my evaluation? It is not. So we didn't answer that question. I want to make sure we answered it. Think of this as the word assessment. And in fact, I may ask Mr. Chavez to make sure that in parentheses, moving forward, we put the word assessment there. Because what that basically means is that what we're doing, what the team is doing, because obviously the superintendent, I can't be in every conversation. This is our team's evaluation to say that on the prior, can you go back one? On the prior data pieces, one more.
Oh, sorry.
On the prior data pieces that you see, what we're doing to mitigate the difference. If we're making our target, great. If we're not making our target, what we're doing to mitigate those differences, go to one more. This is what we want to reinforce. We feel like these are areas that we are starting to see movement, and by movement I mean we're increasing teacher capacity, we're seeing student outcomes in formative assessment. Formative assessment means this is my classroom, I'm walking around, I'm checking to see, Sergio got it, but I see that Rudy's over here still struggling, so that's a formative assessment. As the teacher, now I have devices, I may have an iPad that you're taking a response and it's giving me an immediate calculation of things. That's what we call formative assessment. So what this is saying is that the reinforcement, these are things we believe we should continue to do. However, these are things we've got to get better at. These are the things we're missing. These do not come directly off my evaluation from last year. This is the evaluation of this particular category in this particular time and space. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
So again, I wanted to make sure I shared that because that was a good question that Mr. Valdez asked, and I thought it was a really good question. If we can keep going forward. The other thing, and this is because I want to connect it for the team right here, and for my team too. So board, when we present these, this is why we are putting them in the board update. We're giving you board talking points, because typically this is the information we want you to have both. These are the reasons why we believe you should vote for this. We talked about the finances. We talked about there's good outcomes that are happening by the original implementation that Dr. Basurto talked about, so we felt like let's move forward with this word. So basically when we give you the talking points, this is when I'm out at HEB and somebody asks me, hey, why are we going through Bluebonnet? Especially this one because, guys, it's been in the news a lot. You have your talking points. We're using it because we piloted it 1 year and it started to show promise. We used it because the state is giving us additional support in terms of funding, and in this day and age, because of the financial problems that the state is having, then that's a good thing to move forward with. And of course, we vet these with our instructional coaches. I think they talked about Ms. Parra, she's our lead in those areas. No one person makes these decisions. This is a group, a collective group that's bringing this information forward. And if we'll go to the next one. Same thing here, this is the certification document, they talked about it. But typically, this one, actually, we've pulled now 2 months, I think, if I remember correctly, right? In January?
This one, no, it's the other one.
The other one, yeah. Go back to me. Sorry, I know.
It's okay.
We pulled
There.
this one 2 months now. So typically, these will be in alignment month by month. But of course, we didn't have the actual figures. The state promised our figures. We never got them until here recently. So typically, we'll be in cadence monthly. But when we have to pull something, we will make sure, and I know I heard Dr. Basurto say, you got it in your board update last week. You're gonna get it again in the board update this Friday, because I know Amelia's listening, and you're gonna get it in the board update in 2 weeks.
Yeah, when we come back, yes.
When we come back also.
Spring break.
I'm trying to remember the dates.
Yes.
So just, it's a lot of information to get across, but I wanted to make sure that I stressed the cadence that we're creating each month on those things. Any questions from any of the trustees on that? And team, I explain it that way because again, these are opportunities for us to continue to leverage the information to include Ms. Esquivel's thing earlier, those student data meetings. I know I mentioned it to Dr. Mankins. Those are things that we can also put in the board up so the board sees those connections. Okay? I think that's it here. So we're going to go ahead and bring up our last presenter. Ms. Martinez has a few updates. And as she's walking up here, because no quiero que se caiga. Hey, Doc, please take a look.
Yeah.
I'm always pushing.
Here you go, ma'am.
So, board, as she's coming up, please note that when you see us in the back looking at each other or writing things down, there was two things that I looked at right now and said, that's gonna work really good at the next performance planning meeting. By the way, it's March 20th and March 21st. You already have your invites. But that's what we're doing in the back. It's put that on the board performance planning. Because I hate to present to you the way, unfortunately, all I can remember is how I learned in school. We get little bits of information, but they don't connect. So I'm gonna go back to, that's conceptual knowledge now. We're trying to give you knowledge that's connected to what you're voting on. So I'll be quiet.
We're gonna get right into me. Fortunately, I know. Hold the applause, please. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for pivoting and coming over to central office with us. I don't have a lot of new information, which is good news and bad news all the same. There we go. I'm going to save our finance and budget updates for the board performance planning meeting for the reasons that Dr. Hernandez just stated. We don't have a lot of movement at the legislative sessions right now. There's just been a lot of testimony, so I don't have a lot of news and I don't have anything to repeat right now. What we will do though is come back and share some of the things that we've already done in preparation for instructional materials moving forward. So we'll talk about what Dr. Bastuto and Dr. Silva, the plan that we crafted this past year, so that we can get materials and save some of that money to address some of these new adoptions that are coming up this next year. So there's just some of the things, some of the updates that we'll bring to board performance planning so we can dig in a little bit deeper. And those are on the 20th and 21st. All of the other items, board, are recurring. You will see 2 quarterly investment reports. We had, we'll have 2 that we'll present. We are required to bring these to the board every time that we get the updates. This is going to be 1 month in arrears. It usually happens this time of the year during our Christmas break. We bring 2 to the board. We'll go over some of the investments with a little bit more detail at board performance planning. Our investments, fortunately, are doing a little bit well. With our investment dollars, we usually generate a little bit over $1 million. So we'll have that in the board update, and I'll prepare a summary so that you're aware and you don't have to read through the whole report. We don't have them yet. So, yes, sir.
Do you anticipate any big change, Mark? Because our budget, we want to start securing or finalizing it, but do you see anything that might impact us financially in a positive way, as far as any state funding or anything?
There are a couple of things, Mr. Espinosa, but they're tied, unfortunately, to right now what happens in the legislative session, and Dr. Hernandez can, of course, correct me. You have a bunch of different bills that are filed independently. Right, so there are people testifying for and against the bills. What ends up happening, and there's a lot of the bills that are supporting education, including teacher raises, etc. We will get some type of, I'll call it diluted version or compromised version at some point in time. So what that will look like, or what that could look like, because I don't know with certainty, is if you help me with this, which might include I keep wanting to say the word vouchers, that's not the PC term. But if you help me pass this, then I may attach and let school districts get a raise, right? So there are a lot of things that are a lot of bills that could help school districts. I don't know how they're going to look by the time they get through the legislative process. So, including for special education. Yes, sir?
Yeah, the only thing we expect that's on the table right now are allotments versus the reforms around special education, safety and security. Just forgot the third one. The one that elevates all of our programs is what we call the basic student allotment. You've heard that. That is the way the state of Texas funds us. We are still at $6,160. That's the rate for 2019 without an inflationary mechanism. So what I'm hearing from the session is that we may get $300 or $400, because remember, if we were to get an increase to the basic allotment, local governance gets to decide how that's spent. But that won't happen. We'll get it in spec, we'll get it in safety security, but it's specifically tied to those areas. It is going to help the bottom line in some direction, but not in the way that we would like it to support, especially when you hear about funding coming in to raise teacher salaries. You're hearing different rates being shared. That funding will be please note, board, that is a one-time funding for 1 year of 2 years. That's it. So what I'm In the next few months, I'm gonna start sharing with our staff, because I've already had a couple ask me, also, the state's gonna give us a raise. I'm not gonna give you a raise. So that's the details we have to try to explain, all the while people are excited, so when you come tell them that, it's first their goal.
Yeah, by then, they're just bridging the gap so that when year 2 hits, we should hopefully see more money.
No, not necessarily because, remember, we're on biennium funding. The legislative session only meets every 2 years, so the total funding we get has to last for 2 years. We can work off those numbers for 2 years, is what they give us. And so, if you tell me I'm giving you $3,000 for a teacher for a raise, that's a one-time thing, and it's not coming directly to say every teacher in Edgewood gets a raise. I'm going to give you that. And you still have this mandate. You have this mandate. You have all these other things to include. Even the money that we just talked about from IMAX, that is woefully insufficient to fund all of what we need.
$40 per student.
Yes, it's nothing.
I just want for the new board members to understand that financially, I like the finance part, right? But financially, this impacts us again with our performance. You know, what Mr. Chavez just went over, we're looking good, and then, man, we just get hit with something. It's either the state, well, here it's the state, and it's the state. It's either funding, or it's some mandate, or something that they're changing. So just so you guys keep that in mind, when these numbers, they should be a lot better. They're doing great. I have to say that, sir. The presentations, our schools are doing a lot for us, and we need to really appreciate that, because they work hard. And these numbers that you saw, I mean, you were here, you just got there, Mr. Delgado, but those numbers, I mean, they're impressive, and they're working hard, and they're dedicated. You know, they are, but they're tired. I mean, honestly, you know, they are. And I just appreciate, I just want you to know that I do appreciate everything that they do, especially for our first 2 fifth grade.
Thank you.
Anyway, sorry.
No, thank you. That's actually a really good segue. I'll add that to do a reminder, because last legislative session, the one that closed, the 88, we really didn't get action. But I will review the action that we did get from the 87. That came with a lot of money, but to Dr. Hernandez's point, that money said, thou shalt spend on pre-K programs. You need to spend it on X, Y, and Z. So there's a propaganda that we're giving districts money for raises, but the way the dollars actually come in and the way we have to account for them don't leave us room to make the decisions locally for what's best for the district. So
The example, just because the example that Dr. Basurto just talked about, the LASSO grant, we got 1.1 million, but most people don't realize half that money has to go to a provider.
yes.
And who were the providers? And I'm being recorded, that's fine, because I have no issue putting it out in public. Half those providers are on somebody's list, so y'all can read in between that line.
Thank you for that reminder. Yes, sir. Okay, one thing that will be on your Friday update that I did not include in time for Ms. Amelia to publish on Friday, but this is a recurring item. We're humbly requesting that we extend the elevator maintenance services contract for another year rather than doing an RFP. This is something that was approved in 2023. We continue to have service needs, and that is something that I'd like for us to extend rather than go out for RFP again. So this will be on your Friday update. This is not something that I included in the packet last week. So this will be new. Any questions about this? I do want to pause because this is the first time.
I've never heard of this. What's the RF? What is it?
Very good. This is a request for proposal. So what we do is advertise in the newspaper so that we can get the best price for the district. If it's not on a cooperative where a region service center has already done that for us, we do it ourselves and we publish. It costs anywhere between $5,000 to $8,000 to go through that process, plus man hours, etc. So what we started doing over the last few years is get a deep bench. In this case, we only have one provider, which is not the way we normally like to operate, but that's the response we got. So what we do is, if they're doing well for us, we can extend up to 5 years. And normally you'll see more than one name if there's providers available. So that way we can have them on speed dial as we need them. And we've already gone through this process where we know what the price is, or they have the competition already on paper that we have to meet, that we can call for quotes. Thank you for the question. Okay. All of the other items are recurring. You're gonna see the financial statements, the tax collections reports. So I want to skip over to Ms. Treviño's. These are items that are gonna go into closed session, but it's that time of the year where Ms. Treviño is gonna bring up the renewal of personnel contracts. So she will be in closed session with you. And we are requesting that we extend the interlocal agreement we currently have with the health clinic. We do have some usage. I know we talked about it at the performance planning meeting. So this is something that we'd like to bring back to the board for approval. Yes, sir.
Can we go up the other way?
Yes, sir.
I guess my question is for you. So, this is for repairs and inspections, or just repairs?
Repairs, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Reeves.
It's for repairs. Could we use this for inspection? We could. If that maintenance company has that, if they do that kind of work.
So, you still have to have inspection once a year, right?
Yes, sir.
Could that be included with this, like one thing at a time? If we need it every year, we need inspection every year, regardless of whether it got to be repaired or not.
We have fire
But
troll.
if it easier for you, whatever is easier for you, I guess what I'm asking.
The purpose of the RFP in this case, and in the case of what you was explaining to Mr. Delgado, is so that we don't have to go out for the competition, right? It's already in place, right?
That's good.
We don't have, and because it's over $50,000, we don't have over $50,000 worth of inspection. So that's why that's not listed specifically. But could we use that company? Yeah.
You know, there's no more, there's no such thing anymore as a state inspector. You got that does the inspection.
Right.
The state doesn't come out and inspect anymore.
How many elevators do we have in this district?
I'll get that in the Friday board update.
A lot, but we'll get it up.
Just wondering.
I'll get that for you, sir.
Right up and downstairs
Yes, sir.
On the renewal with, for benefits for our employees?
The clinic? The clinic.
Yes, the clinic?
Yes, sir.
So, I guess I wanted to know the benefit, or if we saw a decrease, or a decrease in how many employees are using, are filing claims for our insurance? Is it better because we have this clinic? Is it the same?
I think it was on there.
It was on
I don't think it was doing really well.
Yeah, well, the usage is well. I'm sorry, the clinic has been utilized. What we've been able to do though, now we were paying the visits completely out of pocket, we've been able to use some of the insurance and increase the benefits to our employees. So what it has helped with is employees not having to take a full day off or a half day off. That's where we've seen the biggest benefits. Unfortunately, as far as making our rates go down with our insurance carrier, that has not happened. Remember when we started down this journey, the hope was that we would have decreased claims. That never came to fruition. COVID hit that immediately next year. So everyone's insurance has gone up. So that second part didn't work. The part for the employee benefits has worked really well because we do have good usage. So yeah, unfortunately that didn't pan out.
So with the employee usage, you're still saving money because you're not having to get substitutes.
Yes, sir.
You're
Absolutely.
coming back to the plants.
Absolutely. And it's right up the road. I know that Ms. Vivian talked about them changing
Yeah.
locations, but they're still within the boundaries of the district. So that's still gonna be good for us.
This is what you said when they were able to make the appointments according to their possible conference time, right? Is what we had.
Yeah,
said?
yeah, we have priority, that's correct. Yes, sir. Ms. Vivian is also going to have, these are the recurring items, the auxiliary professional report, the professional report. And if any, right now, thankfully, we don't have any personnel matters, but those are all closed session items that we would have. And with that, do we have any additional questions? I'm standing between everyone in the door. All right, Dr. Hernandez, that concludes my presentation.
I'll close this out, so, and then, the board president. Yes, Mr. Boyd. So board, again, you'll get all the PowerPoints for tonight in the board update this week.
Yes.
If you have any follow-up, we're gonna add any questions to the board performance planning. So remember, next week, district's closed, spring break. We get back that week, Thursday and Friday is your performance planning. We'll answer additional questions then. Remember, the performance planning is to prepare for the eventual budget adoption in June. So that's why we put it on a 6-month plan, so that we can get you as many answers. And keep in mind, the legislative session's going, so I don't anticipate anything concrete till June. So remember, we're going to bring you the budget. We're going to adopt it based on what we know. If anything changes, of course, I will get that to you. And then as I close, while you were here, you did get a text for today's events at Gus. So just to be real clear, because it is going to go on the website, you always get the English Hispanic version of whatever letter we send out. You also get, sometimes we'll send you the social media posts. A lot of times we didn't in the past, but these you will. And then of course today I only informed the board president because I didn't want to inundate you with things. And we had a few buildings that had power outages today. We specifically sent a letter out to Lomo Park today, because theirs was a little bit longer if I remember correctly. And so we did send that school letter. I only shared it with the board president today. That will go out English, Spanish, all the other different ways. What I don't want to lose sight of, and I didn't want to say that earlier, is I appreciate the questions about all of what we're doing to communicate with parents, but help us reiterate the message out in the community. That communicating is a two-way street. Parents also have to opt into things, because a lot of times what we'll do is we'll hear from parents when something's wrong. And then we ask, hey, did you sign up for Parent Portal? No. And then if we keep asking, sometimes even the kids will say, I was trying to tell you about it. And so we're sitting there going, okay, look, we're not trying to embarrass anybody here, but your own kids telling you, they try to tell you. And so again, help us with parents just to make sure they're signing up. But we're still using the methods that we were used to, hard copies, things like that. But as always, we're going to communicate, over-communicate as much as we can. We can't go knock on doors. And even, I think sometimes we are doing that. We can't do it every day. Yes, sir.
Going back to the safety committee,
yes.
Bruce wants to be communicating with others in the community
Yes.
other than parents.
Yes.
So I know that, yes, Mr. Gardner, to kind of work on that.
Yes.
With the neighborhood association, so I think that's a good way to do it moving forward.
Thank you for elevating that, because that was part of the discussion at the safety committee, like you said. So I'd already talked to Ms. Salinas about meeting with Mr. Garanika about a cadence going with those individuals too. Because the only ones I know of is Thompson, Los Jardines used to have someone, Acme used to have somebody. I don't know where those are now. Obviously, we're going to have to assess that. But wherever we know of one, that's a starting point. As you get to know of other, I'm going to use the word established neighborhood associations. We need to make sure we get those, because then we can include them in those groups. Nothing wrong with communicating. And that's part of what George does.
I said that was the same thing.
All right, good deal. So Terry, did you guys? Yes. Okay. As I close this out, I'll turn it back over to the board president.
I mean, I don't know if it could be explained, but what actually happened at Gus? I know there was.
So we had an overnight, we had a hoax call overnight. There was, through the Fusion Center and working with our PD, there was a student that made a threat to the school. In fact, there were a couple of students, and then I believe the students were dealt with. I know our early visitor today mentioned, are we doing anything? Without getting into too many details because of privacy, I will tell you that in those things, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, those are state felonies?
Yeah, it's a felony.
Those are state felonies, and I'm very clear with the chief, we will prosecute whoever it is. I'll tell you, because then we'll get the parent, then they want to know why we're going felony with them. So, this is one of those things where we're not going to do well by